name's Robin McClean Smith. I am a William Jewell graduate from 2004. I've been at Cerner Corporation about 10 and a half years now. Started here in 2005 after a short stint on a congressional campaign in the 2004 presidential election cycle. I've done a number of things here at Cerner, most recently, probably for about the past almost 5 years now, have been working with our community investments and workforce development efforts. So I spend a lot of time thinking about talent, as we call it, where we're finding our current associates, future associates, both kind of tomorrow and years down the road. Are they going to be available as we need them? Because a lot of our talent efforts are focused on computing and technology or STEM degrees, which a lot of people know are very hard to find. It's hard to sum up exactly what the benefit of having an English major or English degree has brought me. But I think the most important thing is it really goes down to the fundamentals of an English major. So being able to think critically, being able to take a really challenging set of messages or criteria and break it down into something that's easily understood. It's being able to look at something from all different perspectives. I literally remember learning how to do that in Professor Dunham's classes. There's not a lot of jobs that are going to require you breaking apart a piece of literature, but there's a lot of jobs out there that are going to require you breaking apart a big problem. And those are the types of skills you learn as an English major. And I'm personally a huge ambassador of what English majors learn and do. But I think it really requires those students to understand how to translate the skills they get in their degree to the real world. Otherwise, I do think you are at risk of kind of perpetuating that stereotype that English majors, can't do anything. It's not true at all, but you have to understand what kind of skill sets you have and be able to apply them to the real world. I chose William Jewell. I was intrigued by the liberal arts concept. I liked the small school appeal. At the end of the day, I liked the idea that I wasn't in the town where I grew up. So those were kind of the key factors in what led me to William Jewell. I had a high school teacher that had gone there and encouraged me to take a look. And that's how I landed there. I knew I was going to major in communication, but I also knew I wanted to double major. So I kind of naturally thought business, but in some of my freshman English classes, I had a great professor, Professor Maltby, who had a past career in public relations, and that was a career that kind of intrigued me. And so, in a kind of meeting with her, she kind of sat me down and said, "Have you ever thought of being an English major?" And I really hadn't. My interest area was more on writing, probably less on what you would think of as the traditional English pathway, which was very literature focused. But the great thing about Jewell is that they kind of let me craft my focus area within the major, and so I was able to do a lot of writing. So really with the encouragement of a professor, I chose to do an English major, and it was a great choice. So during my time at Jewell, I think I had the idea of a career in public relations in my mind for probably most of my 4 years there. But I distinctly remember a time my senior year, second semester, when it was about time to really start thinking about applying for jobs, that I had this oh my gosh moment that I really could do anything. I wasn't pigeonholed into public relations, and at that point I really had to sit there and think about what did I want, which is kind of funny considering I was at the end of my senior year. You probably should have been thinking about that a little bit earlier. But it really boiled down to developing articulating what my value proposition, as we'd call it in business, was to employers. And at the end of the day, I had confidence in my writing abilities and my speaking abilities. I landed in a pretty traditional entry-level role, and I think that's an important distinction for graduates of today. Even though you might be top of the class and you think everybody's going to want you, at the end of the day, you enter the real world and you are the least experienced person out there. So it's kind of starting all over again and proving yourself. And I like to think I've done that over the years, and I think that my ability to be a good communicator and to be a good writer have landed me in some of the coolest opportunities in business, things I couldn't have dreamed of when I was an undergrad. Writing, doing some ghostwriting for our executives, developing communication strategies in Bangalore, India, producing or overseeing production teams for film and photography. The work kind of varies wildly, but it all comes down to my ability to solve problems and to create efficiencies through communication. All of those things were really developed through my undergrad degrees at Jewell. More specifically with the English degree, it really was that I can write well, I can tackle big challenges and break them down, or big messages, big problems, and break them down into something that we can really work through. That shouldn't be a rare quality, but sometimes it is today. And that's the type of quality that I think English majors can bring to industry today. If I could give English majors any advice, though, understand your value proposition as an English major and pair your skills up with something that's really kind of needed in the workforce. And that requires a really good understanding of what the workforce needs. Spend some time researching the careers of tomorrow, and think about what you want, and I think you'll land in a great place.